So a lot of interesting things have taken place in 2021 so far. And just recently on April the 9th, we lost DMX. And it led me to do this audio. So here it is. DMX carried the vibration of a 2911. And when I say 2911, his overall life path was an 11, which we know to be a master number, with the 2 ones, which also means it's a 2. But I've come to learn when utilizing numerology, it's so many numbers that you can use. And when you add up all your numbers, I do believe that you need to observe all of the numbers that comes up to make your number. So when you add up his birthday, the total is 29, which we know we break that down further by adding the 2 and 9, making it an 11, which is a master number. And we can take that even further and put the 1 and the 1 together, making it a 2. So what do we know when we look at a 2911? So a 2911, I always get immediate compassion for people with a 2911, because I know they've dealt with some form of abuse. It's not always physical or sexual. It can be mental abuse. It can be emotional abuse. But more so specifically, these experiences around abuse have played a very vital role to the way that these individuals process their reality and how they create their reality. And create is a very, very important thing about the 2911, because 1 in itself is creativity. So when you got 2 1s, you're dealing with double creativity. It's like a endless flow of creative energy, so much so that 11s are portals. That's why it's considered a master number. And when people say, hey, it's 1111, make a wish, because it's a portal. It's seen as a portal. Now, this 11 makes up this 2, and it's not a normal 2. It's a very powerful 2. And 2s are very receptive. They're very receiving. They're very emotional. They're very feeling. And if we just look at this thing from what we know and from what has been shown to us on the surface, we can see how the energy has played out. Because for one, empathic abilities are closely attached to these energies. And if you listen to a lot of stories or look up a lot of people who give their personal experiences with X, they will give you these types of stories about how he went above and beyond for others, how he took so much pain and suffering for others. And you can hear it. It's all in his music. You know, like, he's the only person I know. When I think it's like this with DMX, when we look at DMX, he came through under the Sirian energy, the Sirius, the dog star, Anubis, the Anpu energy. That immediately picked up for me, for my downloads, what came to me after the news broke, and after I took some time and went into a meditative state and just kind of processed everything. Just Anubis kept screaming out to me, or Anpu. And with everything that we know about Anubis, it's wild, because back in December, we had the dog versus battle. We had DMX versus Snoop Dogg. And although Snoop has the phenotype of the dog, especially the way his phenotypic or his genetic expression physically, his physical characteristics reminds you more physically of the dog, but DMX himself really embodied the dog. I mean, just look at his story. When he was young, he befriended dogs. It was stray dogs that he befriended that help him along his journey. He dealt with so much abuse and neglect, abandonment, and with addiction, with all those things going on. What we know about DMX, if you listen to his music, it's the only artist I've ever seen that on his album, he talks to what's seen as a demonic spirit, and he talks to God all on the same album. But I think that's what made him special, was his duality and his vulnerability to who he was, just his honesty, his authenticity, because everybody can't be comfortable with themselves in their darkness, and he put his conflict on public display. It was in his music, we could hear it. It was in everything that he did, and that pain, that aggression, that gruff and gritty hip hop sound. He fulfilled that role because, when you listen to Tupac was the same way. He spoke away, but when he was on the record, his voice it just carried so much. And that aggression and all that pain and everything that you can hear, DMX was the same way. And so it's no coincidence that when he came on the scene in 18 months' time, 3 number 1 albums, some of the biggest selling albums in hip-hop history. So his legacy, what he did for the culture, is solidified. Now let's get into it a little bit more deeply, and let's get into it from a more of a little spiritual perspective. Let's be more spiritual about this. Now let's dig a little bit deeper, right? Okay. So he died on a 9 day, right? 9 is all about completions. It's about endings. It's cycles. And also along with Prince Philip, which is interesting for those who understand and know the workings of the underworld. We already know what the deal is. We already know Prince Philip just trying to catch him a ride to the higher realms. But we're not going to talk about that, because that's not where we're going to direct our energy. That's not what we're going to do. But let's talk about Anubis. Anubis, as we know in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, if you go back further, he's Anpu. But he's closely related to the dog star or the Sirius star. So the Sirius system. So DMX, that energy, everything that he embodied, what we attached to, what we could feel from him, was Sirian. He was a Sirius entity from the Sirius star system. That's why, he was such a commanding and leading figure. The surrender, the vulnerability of it all, it's a strong Piscean age. We are in a time where we are in the end times. When we say the end times, the Piscean age has come to a close. Kali Yuga time has come to a close. So we're leaving out of the area or of everything being associated with the Pisces energy. And when we look at the Pisces, the Piscean age, the fish is closely related to Christianity. That's why that people put the fish on the car. The fish is the symbol for Jesus. So the whole Christian thing, but also understand that Pisces energy is 12th house energy. It's very, very spiritual energy. It's having to do with, when I say 12th house, institutions, drugs. We're dealing with the victim. We're dealing with the martyr. We're dealing with the karmic lessons, the subconscious, hidden enemies. All of these are things associated with the 12th house. It's the house of undoing. And if we can look at DMX has put that on a public display for us. One thing about people with a 9, you're going to learn from them by what it is that they've done. It doesn't matter about what it is that their work is. It's literally about what it is that they do. And so, so like I said, you look at this Piscean age energy, it's strong Christianity. Okay, like vast majority of us grew up in Christianity because we grew up in America or in other parts of the world where Christianity is dominant. It's just pretty much the dominant religion of the world today. That's the age that we are in, or at least that we were in, that we are currently leaving out of. So you got to look at it. DMX, he had a lot of that Tupac-like energy, like I said, even down to the bald-headed, the womanizing, rapping, and acting. All of it. He embodied it. So when he feel that void, and it's the same thing, like if you listen to him, when he talks about judgment, he talks about pain, he talks about suffering, everything that he deals with is strongly Piscean related. He's been to prison, in and out of prison. He's dealt with rehab, dealing with rehabilitation from drug addiction. And for somebody to lace his blunt and give him a wooly, instead, that's pretty much like a hidden enemy. That's karmic consequences. Like, what would he do to warrant that to happen to him at 14 years old? You see what I'm saying? So a lot of things he went through, all the suffering, a lot of the pain and everything that he did, understand that Anubis is connected to the initiation. Anubis initiates for the underground. So understand one thing that we got to know in this day and time, for who we are, your life is your initiation, my nigga. Everything that you go through, all the pain, all the suffering, all the shit that you're going through every day of your life, trying to make yourself better, growing spiritually, learning more and more every single day, that is the initiation. That is who we are today. Because if you're looking at Anubis, right? Understand Anubis and who Anubis is. Because see, we got to remember, when you are dealing with religion, ultimately, these are allegories dealing with a higher science. So, in every culture, they have their own versions of these allegories, their own interpretation, their own words for using. They explain the very same things in each different culture, in each different religion. It's pretty much the same thing. So when you're dealing with Anubis, he's also this Anpu. He's also, if we were to compare him with the Christianity, he would be considered John the Baptist, the one that comes before Christ, the baptizer. Anubis would be considered John the Baptist in Christianity. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the job and the duty of Anubis and what it is that Anubis does. And so remember, Anubis, he deals with the judgment of the dead. He's the one who places the heart, to weigh the heart against the feather to represent Maya or balance. Is your heart light as a feather? Anubis is the one that resides in the underworld. Where's the underworld? This is your current physical reality. This 3D reality is the underworld. So people who are considered so if we would go back in ancient times, they would have like a priest of Anubis or a priest of Isis. So somebody who would be seen as a priest of Anubis would be considered a mortician. So somebody who works in a funeral home today, dealing with the dead, embalming, that's someone who is working under the energy of Anubis. But it's more than that, because when you're dealing with the dead and when you're dealing with embalming and transitioning, it's talking about a transformation. So Anubis represents the initiation into the mysteries of death and transformation. He himself is a lord of magic. Anubis or Anpu is a magician. He's a keeper of balance. He's preparing the dead. So he also opens the roads. So whenever, and this is just, something to throw in there to understand or drive home the energy of what I'm saying is Anubis. He is the opener of the way. And what I mean by that is, when I do oracle readings or tarot readings, a lot of times I work with the energy of Anubis or Anpu, because he is the opener of the way. He opened the opener of the roads to the north. So in order to explore those realms, to leave one's body, you dealing with that type of energy. So back to the Sirius energy and the dog star. So understand the dog star, and we're talking about the dog in connection to the dog or the jackal of Anubis, tied to the dog star, which is the sun, which is seen and observed during the summer solstice. During this point in time, the dog star goes away, which means it's like you can't see it. So back to the dog star, like I was saying. So when you're dealing with Sirius, there's if you're not aware, study the Dogon tribe, the Dogon people. Back before, there was discovery of the Sirius B star system, before it was able to be seen, before they made the Hubble telescope or whatever you called it, whatever it's called. The Dogon tribe told these foreign colonizers or what have you of the Sirius B star and of this star system. And which begs to say, they say that is where it is that they come from. So when you hear people who say that we are from the star Sirius, or we are from the Sirius star system, or the second sun, or we are the people of the dark sun, the sun that you see at night, it's the Sirius star that they're talking about. So, this is in the Sirius mystery. The Pale Fox is the book about the Dogon tribe, if you want to look more into that. But DMX embodied all this energy, like everything about it. If you all you got to do is listen to his music, put his music on. That's all his music is about. And when you listen, I swear, after he died, it was like 3 days later, and I was just putting some music on, and something just told me, I know what the something was, but something told me to play Who We Be, the DMX record, Who We Be. And when you really listen to that record, I mean, listen, I'm not saying you're just hearing it on the surface of it, but when you spiritually listen, there's something else talking to you. You feel what I'm saying? He talking from somewhere else. That's something else talking to you. He talking from his heart. And when somebody, or he rap from his heart, and when somebody doing it, when they going from their heart, when they giving you their true self, that's their soul. That's their soul. They bearing their soul to you. And, I just felt that I just wanted to kind of get that out and just kind of do that a little bit. But I did want to take some time and honor the dead. And you are supposed to honor the dead. A lot of people want to try and make people feel guilty, because they choose to show people love when they pass away, because you should show people love when they pass away. Not only when they pass away, no, but you should show people love when they pass away, because they're trying to make their way back home. You understand? And love is the highest vibration in this frequency, the highest vibrational frequency in this universe. Watch the movie Interstellar. Love is the only thing that it could connect me to somebody else that's on the opposite side of the galaxy. Somebody that's in a whole nother dimension, a whole nother time loop. The love will not go away. It's not going to disappear. So what is that? Now, that's a conversation for another day. But so when I say opener, Anubis being the opener of the way, understand that that's also talking about opening of the heart, opening your heart chakra, because your heart is the bridge. So until you can open your heart chakra and cross that bridge, you're not going to make it into them spirit realms. You understand what I'm saying? And we think most of the things we think are spiritual are not. 90% of the shit we think is spiritual is not spiritual. 90% of that shit is just some moral code or behavioral modification. Don't have shit to do with growing your spirit. Not a thing at all. But we have lost our spiritual foundation, because we no longer have an identity, and we identify ourselves through another group of people who subjugate and oppress us. So of course they're not going to give you that which liberates and empowers you. You're going to have to do that on your own. So, when you listen to some DMX, or if you put some DMX on, you know, just understand that there are things, there are entities, there are energies that's all around us all the time that are rooting for us. Is that's you know, wanting us to be the best versions of ourselves. And when we think that when people have died or when they have crossed over, they're not gone. They are very much indeed with us. You know, it's just all in how you choose to carry them along with you. But that energy, that power is still there. They've only transitioned to that other side. And in all actuality, when you think about it, now you have an ally on the other side. Now there's somebody in the spirit realm that's working for you. That's why some people say, and that's why we don't understand sacrifice. We don't understand it. And we be like, oh, you know, we talk about celebrities and about people sacrificing people. We're not understanding what that means. We just don't understand, yo. We're looking at it from a very fearful and childlike point of view, instead of, you know, really being adults about it and just dealing with it head on. We don't do that. But that's not a mistake. It's by design. So, you know, put you some DMX on. Put you on some DMX. You know, and just, you know, just deal with a lot of love. You know, just spread a lot of love, and just don't be sad, because, you know, all that pain and suffering that he had, he took that with him. He's at peace now. Because you got to understand, the job and the duty of an empath is to take people's pain to God. So he took a lot of people's pain on. He represented a lot of people's pain. A lot of his songs were, you know, instrumental to people dealing with stressful, depressing times. I can't tell you how many times I listened to Slipping when I was going through some shit. Like, that's what the music was. That's who he is. That's who he was. And that's what he put into the music. So don't ever lose that. Don't ever forget that, you know, because we are the guys that we are looking to. We are them. You know, we just have forgotten who it is that we are. So on that note, that's pretty much all I got. And just remember who we be. Peace.